All right, hello everybody. Welcome to VRML. This is the Season 1 Round Robin A. This is Stage 2 of our postseason, and we are about to get it going very soon. You see that timer up there? Indeed, we're starting at the top of the hour, but until that comes, we're starting with a pre-show here, just a little bit with the panel of myself. I'm Palidore. It's SirDimwi. We have SoMuchForSubtlety. We have Swift. We have Wit, and at some point, probably Sputnik, as we get started here soon. But yeah, a lot of excitement in the air tonight, and well, let's get it going. And I say tonight as I might not have slept yet. That's okay. Now here we go. So Team Gravity first up on the board. And as you can see here, Gold Division finishing the season, ranked number 2 in Europe, 1250 on the MMR, 12-4 record. A lot of good stuff going their way as they came back partway through the season. And indeed, we got just the road to the finals. I mean, it starts, well, already started, but it continues now. Now, SirDimwi, I'll hand it off to you just for a second here, but I just check in with you and how you're doing. And also, Sputnik, I see you're back. Maybe you can give a quick hello if you got your mic all good and set to go. But as for everyone else, how's it going in the chat? Nice.
Works when I want it to. So I want to make sure that this is a good sign that it's going to be a good broadcast for the rest of the today.
It was good. A little loud. I got you all settled now, but
Okay, I came in a little hot there. I even had to turn it down. But still, I mean, that means the mic is doing good now. And speaking of doing great, Gravity doing so good this season. As you pointed out, I mean, they came in number 2 right behind Phantoms at the end of the season. And Gravity, that was after they even took a few weeks off midway through the season. So to still pull out that number 2 with the time off. Now, as I understand it, and I talked to one of the players from Gravity, Torin, I'm pretty sure it was, and he was telling me that Gravity did not, I was talking to one of the players from Phantoms about Gravity, and I was being told that Gravity did not they'd stop. They weren't playing in comp during that time, but they didn't take a break. They kept practicing. They kept scrimming, and actually, Torin was letting me know that he's a little nervous of seeing Gravity.
On that note, did we? We got that on the topic list. So you know what? We'll start it here first because yes, first of all, we got ourselves what the once and future kings. What does that mean? Well, of course, the preseason champions, Team Gravity. They were the kings coming out of preseason back in December, and now they're back and trying to make sure we remember their names, indeed. And as Dimwi pointed out, Phantoms, longtime rivals, dating back, again, a year plus now, across numerous names for said team. But that's one of the big stories here coming into the late season is just the returning champions of Europe and in the preseason. Can they do it again? Can they find that stride? We will see. But going over to... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Dimwi.
No, absolutely. Keep going.
All right, well, I was going to say, first, our next topic, rather, it's Via Rex. Got to bring him up because he is the captain here of Team Gravity. And what does that mean? Well, it means, aside of him being the longest-time veteran here, remaining from just the original days of Season 1 of VRL days of Team Gravity, his biggest strength, one of his biggest strengths, and this is one of the things going back to that preseason championship, it was the brawling. He is incredible in the midline, so bothersome. And, he is just a very impressive player in that midfield and teammate and suitable captain for sure.
I mean, you can't, captains in VRML, they take on such a broad role. They're not just team captain, their team manager, their team owner, effectively, not necessarily, but like in a certain way, they kind of control all that back end stuff. And they tend to be those players on the team who's really leading the charge. They are a team captain. And for a team to be this successful and to get this far and to do this well for so long, it's not, it's not only down to the talent you have with you. It's also the cohesion and how well you stay together. And to stay together this long, you need a team captain who's going to be right at the core there, being that glue man and holding it all together. And I haven't been in I haven't been in the Gravity comms. I don't know what they actually sound like, but I would hesitate to guess that Vitrax is a big glue force in there, being the team captain, because there's no way you get this far with a team captain and they not be that consummate captain.
Absolutely. He's a great guy. Met him how many times down in real life? I don't know. Shame it can't happen this year, but you know what? He's one of my favorite people, and wishing Team Gravity luck for sure. But moving on to some of these other roster members. Next topic of discussion there. FTL, that is to say faster than light, and that is in reference, of course, to the almighty stack of Lewis and Simon coming in just hot off. Again, the preseason, they proved themselves as legitimately the fastest boosting pair in all of the world, plain and simple. Now, maybe they lost some speed, maybe they did. I don't know. That's like the questions we were talking about coming off that little bit of a break, but it sounds like they've been hard at practice, and I would not be surprised to see that blazingly fast speed definitely come into play here.
We even saw earlier. I saw earlier today in one of the channels on Discord a discussion about boosting and how because we put a big emphasis on the speed we see from some of these stacks, like we see from Lewis Ammo and Simon. Definitely one of the most one of the most effective stack pair in the league by far, hands down. But it's not, we focus on the speed because of how good they are at being fast and getting where they need to go, not overshooting the disc, and it's not just we put that emphasis, but that's not, that's only a small part of being effective as a stack. So for them to be that fast and be effective really speaks to how much work they put in. Because as anyone who's worked on boosting knows, it's easy to go fast without being accurate, without hitting the spot you're trying to hit. You can go fast. Anybody, once you get that down, you can go fast, but turning and hitting your mark and not overshooting the disc, splitting off when you need to, getting to your targets, one after the disc, one after a pass option, that sort of thing. They're so good at deploying that. And that's what creates that effect. I mean, we talk about their speed, but it's the effectiveness that ultimately comes through.
Absolutely. And now moving on to the next topic. Just briefly here is, well, Al Pacino. But what does that mean? Because he is a denier, ultimate denier at the rim for his team. Granted, a lot of capable defenders and just the whole team aspects of Team Gravity, which we'll get into towards the end there, a big factor. But just playing definitely that more of a backline role of sorts, especially just on the defense inside the goal. He is someone who will pick those shots right out of the air when it looks like it's an open shot. And then suddenly he's just right there for the grab. So Al Pacino, definitely a strong player in that regard. But Dimwi, this is the topic, next one on that I did mention earlier, that you mentioned earlier. That second wind is what we were talking about in the sense that they came into the season, preseason champions, and they came back into season one for the first month or so. Took a bit of a hiatus, came back. And the question is, can they get their second win? Have they found their second win? I haven't had an eye on these scrims, but you were just mentioning it earlier. Can they get the second win and the second, win, maybe as a champion?
I would say that as far as Phantoms are concerned, they think it's possible. So Phantoms think it's possible. I think it's possible that Gravity can go all the way because, as I said, the Phantoms did not take a break from the scrimming. I was talking to Torrent in a lobby just a week ago about Gravity, and he had some really positive things. I mean, they were they were negative in that they were positive about Gravity, but negative in the connotation that it was something he was worried about. Not something, but it was a compliment to Gravity in that he was worried about these things, and the fact that Gravity did not take that break. They've been so strong while they were taking that break from. I say they did not take that break. While they were taking that break, they were still scrimming. They were still practicing. They were still doing what they needed to do to come back, to return later in the season, come back and potentially win that championship. Oh. They are certainly the favorites today. I can say that much.
Well, that transitions right into our last point here, putting the team in Gravity, because Team Gravity, as mentioned earlier, one of the longest established teams in the league. The rosters have shifted here and there, of course, but I mean, just a super solid core. You don't win championships by mistake. You don't stay relevant in the league for that long by any mistake. It's just the excess passing almost, and I say that in a good way. always looking for their boosts, always looking for their extra passes, trying to put that team play together, and that's just the name of the game for Gravity. Can't hold them down, as is usually the case. Yes.
No, you can't hold them down. And just another point on the boosting, it's the speed of the boost, the accuracy of the boost, but it's also getting your pairs together, that coordination, the communication, the setup, the pre-setups, the formations, everything that goes into getting your stack together fast enough to be fast. You know, you can be fast as fast as you want. You got to get together. And yeah, I understand.
Speaking of fast,
had to nail that down. So
yes.
go ahead.
Agreed. But to the next one we go. It's a very interesting one. Washed Up. Now, you might notice, of course, they don't have the ranks up top there for them. Well, that's because they came in here in that Challengers Cup, the last chance qualifier of sorts, kind of taking everybody, by surprise. And, I mean, not so much surprise that they won, but just the fact that, after questions about whether we'd see Boop involved again and Lone Gecko and the Jester boys, they came back. And, well, it's a pleasant surprise in that sense. But to find them here facing off against these top teams, that much, it can be expected. And that's why, going to the first topic of discussion in that case, it is the advanced chemistry. And what I mean by that is, we're having a blast. We're talking about former Blast players. We're talking about former Toxic Unit players. All these factors with the chemistry, the team chemistry coming in. These players have played together plenty of times throughout the season, last preseason through VRL seasons, and even substituting. Boop and Bad Internets, especially, they've been quite frequent subs throughout throughout season 1. And I'm interested to just see, despite the fact they haven't played consistently throughout the months, how they go.
No, I'm interested to see it as well, especially I hung out with Taka on Thursday a lot yesterday. He's definitely a fun guy to hang out with and a fun guy to be around. And Boop is the sort of player that anytime I played with him, you speaking of chemistry, he's just he's one of those guys that he can play with anybody. And so if he can play with anybody, if he's playing with somebody for a while, that chemistry is definitely there, because it's just he's just such a I don't know the word I'm looking for, a chameleon of a player. He can fit into to any role with playing with anybody. Usually his role. Usually, you're gonna want Boop shooting.
That goes right to the Boop constant. That is to say, I'm not a mathematician, but I do know if Echo exists, then so does Boop. He is a long time player. Again, right there since the beta days. Long regarded as one of the best players in the game, and he's proved it over and over. The thing about Boop captaining this team, putting this kind of ragtag group of friends together that he's played with throughout this season and throughout the past seasons. I mean, the thing is, as he's come in here and subbed, even he's shown some really impressive things. It's not just about the offense anymore, even though he's obviously as good as ever at that. But even the goalkeeping, the passing, he's really shown just a propensity for fitting in whatever role he needs to fit in a given match, and that's really what's impressive about him. But
just
I know you want to cut in, but
just real quick, just a quick factoid.
Okay.
If you've heard of the Boop shot, anybody who's watching, if you've heard of a Boop shot, Boop is the namesake. That's the player that was named after.
All right, moving along. Defensive stuff. Gotta just shout out a lot of the defenders here. You mentioned Taco on Thursday. That is definitely one of the best defenders. He's had some incredible ones, like back in the Jesters, when he was with the Jesters during Goalie Week. He was one of the big contributors to the so-called Goalie Week. I believe that was week 4 of Europe in season 1, and it was just, he is one of those who can really catch fire very quickly. Lone Gecko back in the early days as well, that was kind of what he was known for. Finn, same thing throughout the seasons, a dynamic player, and just very good defensive players. And then I'm throwing Boop in that conversation too at this point, because he's shown enough consistency where I believe it now that he can goal keep. And that's why for this team, they are the X Factor, which is to say, this is a talent show. They are also just the X Factor in possibly this entire cup and among these top 8s, because we do not know exactly what to expect when you're coming in with all these players who haven't really been part of the team in the context of the season. And that kind of thing can really take people off guard. And quick quick.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, coming in, I was calling them the wild card. You're calling them the X Factor, and at this point, I really want to call them the wrench because I think these guys showing up for the qualifier cups definitely threw a wrench in some of the other teams' plans. So I'm calling the dark horse. You can call them the X Factor. You can call them the wild card. I'm calling them the wrench in this finals.
Yeah, they could. That's actually super accurate. They could definitely throw a wrench in a lot of people's plans, and kind of have already to a degree. Lanzan saying, overlay looks pleasantly familiar. Well, yes, because I designed that other one you're thinking of too. But anyways, over here, we're going to move on to the next one, which is to say Smash Dash. Longtime team, hence the first topic of discussion there. Dash of seasoning. They are a very well-seasoned veteran team. Finishing rank 3, 1230 MMR, 1410 record on the season. And they are just full of some, again, longtime players. And when it comes to their captain, Sendo Target here, along with Dage, kind of refer to them as the helping hands of sorts. They, much like I was mentioning Boop filling those roles, Sendo Target, Dage, great teammates, really kind of facilitating. Sometimes they're scoring, sometimes they're making the assist, but whatever it is, they're all over it for sure. Just the same as Sealable Back, who's all over the Twitch chat. Good morning. But yes. And who are they facilitating, Dimwi? Well, that is Slin. And I don't know about you, but Slin scares me. Okay? I love Slin. But man, he is a striking extraordinaire these days, which is to say, not only striking in terms of scoring points, but he is quite possibly the top brawler in Europe, or at least right up there among them. He piles on ridiculous amounts of stuns each game.
It's funny. While I was hanging out with Taco, we were hanging out with a bunch of people yesterday in one of the open voice channels in Discord, just incidentally, me and Spot, for several hours yesterday. And Taco on Thursday had some choice words for Slin, and I don't mean that as he was saying anything negative. He was saying like he's a player that has turned into just a monster in the field, and definitely is one of those players that makes him nervous. And so I'm very, very excited to see Slin. Particularly, I want to see Slin up against Taco on Thursday today.
That'll be fun. Nothing else for the commentary. Hi, Spot. What's up?
Well, I did want to chime in with one thing now that I got everything set up on my end.
Okay.
Talking about Slin being such a strong striker, Slin's also like 6'4", 6'5". I met the man, and he towered over me.
And he's got cool hair.
And he's got cool long hair, so he's got the reach. It's not easy to get near him. He's gonna get those stuns off, and he's gonna reach you before you reach him.
Absolutely. It goes back to, again, the almost famous, infamous, whatever you want to say, the Slin interview back from VRL Season 1 finals in Katowice 2018. His whole interview about what they need to do better. Just need to block more. Just need to punch more. Just straight to the point, and you know what? He's done nothing but that since 2018. He's definitely heeded his own advice, and just found a way to become a top striker. Now, moving along real quick here, it is a two-way street. That is to say, Street Boo. The two-way player, got to shout him out because he is an incredible defender, as you're seeing in some of these season highlights from Smash Dash on that left side. But he is going to pick off all these shots over and over, and it's never a surprise. But the thing is, he can also turn it straight into offense at an instant. He is a great striker when he needs to be, great defender when he needs to be. And what does that do for Smash Dash? Well, ideally, moving on to this last topic here, it lets them smash glass. That is the glass ceiling, because Smash Dash for a very long time now have been right on the edge, I feel, over and over of just taking over at those very top couple spots, season to season, year to year. They're always right there. They're so consistent with just being a top team. But in terms of, maybe finally this season, this first season of VR Master League, we'll see if maybe this is the time that they can break through that ceiling and really kind of cement themselves among just the top there and surprise some people today, again, and going into the next weekend as well, if they can make it there. It's just big topic of discussion always, and I love Smash Dash, wishing them as well as anyone. They're just again, much like Team Gravity, they give me those memories, of teams of yesteryear. So it's good to see them still around. Now, with that said, we'll move on to our final team that we'll be seeing today, which is to say the Alpha Ducks. So Alpha Ducks, led by Martin the third year, which is to say this is his third year going into it for Echo Arena. So talking about the veterans of Team Gravity there with Viatrex, talking about Sendo Target from Smash Dash. Well, how about Alpha Ducks? You got Martin the third, one of the OG Team Gravity members as well back in the day. And yeah, he is captaining this team and leading them to all kinds of glory. Dimwi, yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Martin III is one of those players I happen to just incidentally have been able to play over the last several years, have found him in pubs somewhat frequently. Not so much recently, but over the last several years, I've seen him enough that I've gotten to know him, not really well personally, but just as a player. And he's such a strong player. He's prolific. He's been around for so long, and he knows what he's doing. He's a friendly guy. He's a nice guy. I've never had any sort of negative interaction with him, and he's just a phenomenal player. And I'm really excited to see him, captain his team forward in these playoffs.
Absolutely, and one of his best teammates here, without a doubt, Stout and Stody in the goal. It is Stody. He is the defensive stalwart, as I often like to call him. He makes so many incredible saves. Just putting together some of these highlights here that you're seeing on the left side throughout Alpha Ducks' season. It is uncanny. There were so many just incredible goals saved by him over and over through the thicket of offenders all over the place. He is just fantastic at what he does, both offensively and defensively. He fills up those stat sheets for sure. Much like more than a Lil Red. He is something special on offense. Let me tell you, he is a huge striker for Alpha Ducks here, always putting on points by the dozen, it feels like, and from all kinds of angles, from deep, from 2-point zone, off the backboard, inverted, doesn't matter. He'll convert on so many shot opportunities.
And he's one of those players that we ended up being able to hang out with a bit yesterday. And he's definitely a hoot. He's definitely a friendly guy. I've seen him around a lot. And for anyone wondering, no, he's not a developer. He's asked that all the time. He just incidentally is called Lil Rad and has no relation to Rad, the company, Ready at Dawn.
Right.
But he's such a great dude. He's one of the younger guys, and I'm really excited to see how he's going to do today, and also just into the future. He's like I say, he's one of the younger guys. He's got a long potential career ahead of him, and I'm just excited to see him push forward because he was just a friendly, fun guy, and I think Swift had something to add.
Yeah, can I just say Lil Rad is one of those people that you just have to have eyes on all of the time on offense, because if you're not on him on the ceiling, he converts on those shot opportunities almost every single time, just because of the way that he shoots, and he shoots so fast, and he throws ridiculously hard to the point where, he almost breaks his tracking every single throw. It's kind of ridiculous how he still gets them on target, but he's definitely one of those players you got to watch out for.
I agree completely. He is very reminiscent, his play style, just his efficiency, kind of reminiscent of Game over on Flare in North America, but just very crafty and very consistent on the offense. Next quick topic here, Dark Knight Rises, just giving the shout out there to Ninja Knight, because coming into the preseason of VRML on Team Summit, a very new team there, and impressing with his play and at midfield and just being a great teammate there, getting just positional-wise and in the midfield, he's very good in the goal. He'll snag some of those saves on the occasion that Stody isn't there for some reason. Ninja Knight, just good to see him improving on the team play and coming into even a better situation this season and finding himself again in the playoff run, this finals run. So good to see him. But final topic.
I was just going to add that Ninja Knight's one of those names I end up saying a lot during games. I expect to say it a lot today.
Absolutely. Now, final topic here, just on the Alpha Ducks as a whole. You better duck and cover, because Alpha Ducks, they are a team that do like to brawl a bit more often than not sometimes. A lot of these times in these European games, you see some of these quick boosts coming through, and a lot of that just back and forth. Sometimes for Alpha Ducks, they do like to get down and dirty with the brawls and ruffle some feathers, if you will. So it's something to be aware for at times. But again, just the defense is something to be aware of with Alpha Ducks. I think if that's they can turn that into some solid offense today, they'll have, a good chance of causing maybe some upsets here on a given day. I mean, if Stody catches fire on the defensive end, and then you have, Martin, Lil Rats doing their thing, and Ninja Knight, they can very well, cause some trouble for these other teams. So we shall see. And yes, the Alpha Ducks joust. I wish I could get to it indeed, but it's 2 minutes till start time, ladies and gents. So I think we gotta get ourselves on the way. So with that said, we'll end this pre-show stream just briefly, as I'm going to hand the camera work and streaming duties over to Wit here on Channel 1. Over on Channel 2 will be So Much for Subtlety. The matches on this channel, it will be Team Gravity opening up against Washed Up, I do believe. And over on Channel 2, Smash Dash versus Alpha Ducks. So we're going to get ourselves sorted real quick, get into the matches, and be right back.